We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to We Say Things, episode 283. Welcome.
First try.
It only takes 283 episodes to get the intro correct.
No.
SUNSfan here with Cinderin.
You used to.
Good day.
Good day, Shannon.
I got a nice hot cup of honey water.
Oh, I got a nice cold mug of water.
That sounds good. Apparently, there's all these rules with having a raw throat that you're supposed to go through. You can't have water that's too hot, apparently, is now added to my list. So I have to wait for it to cool down. It's just never-ending bullshit I have to go through, Cinderin. How are you doing?
Wait, so you need hot water, but not too hot?
Yes.
So why do you make it hot?
Well, it needs to be warm, but not hot.
Yeah.
Not piping hot.
Yeah, don't you just stop your boiler halfway then?
Well, I got it to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Cinderin.
I don't know what that is.
That's
that sounds like you can drink it soon. It will be all right.
It'll be fine. Just need a minute. Why don't you do the patron list today? I really appreciate that.
That's right, Shannon. I was going to do a great segue with
Thank you.
is also fine, our In Bruges tier patrons. And I will go through all of them today to spare Shannon's poor throat. Amish Toaster. Shout out to Peace, Love, and Dota. You seemed nice. Getting a shout out every week. Good for you. Cronfall Enjoyer. Disco Farm D. Dop. Empire of Dirt. Isaac Hansen. Anonymous. Malicious Damage. Pepperballs. Suns Nugget Boy STGC Daniel. T-Coil, The Mega Pope, Vlad, Let's Have Puppey on the Podcast, Wagyu Hater, Wooden Aftertaste, and Space Doesn't Have a Known Edge, only a limit to how far we can see, Mr. Niebling.
Same with my penis.
That one I think is the most, out of all the fun facts he has posted, I think that one's the most universally known one.
I would agree.
No pun intended.
It's a good pun. Good job.
Yeah. And actually, a little bit of a surprise for Vlad. We will not have Puppey on the podcast today, but we will be talking about him again. So you're getting some Puppey, but not as a guest.
Cinder, a quick fact, since we were talking about my throat stuff, I have been off of caffeine for 6 days now.
Okay.
And I don't understand how people function without it. I have zero energy the entire day. It's been almost a full week now, and it's not. I thought I would get like headache withdrawals, but I was thinking about it. I don't really drink that much. I have 1 cup of coffee and 1 can of soda in a day. Is that a lot? Would you say that's a lot of caffeine?
No.
I'm feeling it though. I'm feeling.
But why are you cutting it? Is that supposed to make it worse for your throat?
Coffee and soda are not good for your throat, it turns out. I could maybe try some caffeine pills or some shit, I guess. But maybe caffeine itself is bad for my throat. I don't know.
That sounds like a bit of a stretch.
Would have to chat GPT
a caffeine pill that fucks your throat up. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Anywho, first topic, I should have talked about this last week, is Iran, since I'm half Persian and I have family in Tehran. They're going through I don't even know what you want to call it, because it feels like there's always something happening. Like every 6 months, there's like some uprising because the government sucks ass. And we're at that point again. But this one, to a lot of people that I know, they're saying it feels different, where they are trying to overthrow the government in a way. And the government has now turned off the internet. They've cut phone lines. They've killed thousands of people. So it's a real fucking mess. And I know that, it's unlikely that any of them will be watching this show. Not that they do to begin with, but obviously give my best wishes to them, my family, and all that. It's just one of those shitty situations. I hope, it feels like this has happened in different forms so many times over the last 30 plus years, and hopefully they can get it done, because I don't know if people realize that, because I visited as a kid twice Iranians are very westernized compared to like the rest of the Middle East, I would say. And it's just the government has not been good, let's say. So, yep. Hoping for the best for them. And from that, we can move on to better news, Cinderin.
Okay.
The 1 point slam. Now, this is cool. So
I haven't heard about this at all.
Yeah, so Nikki showed me, because she's been watching a lot of tennis, and there's the Australian, what the hell's the Grand Slam in Australia called?
Australian Open?
Yeah, Australian Open, of course.
That was hard to guess.
The precursor to it, though, they've started this new thing called a 1 point slam where they get a bunch of pros, a bunch of amateurs. By amateurs, I mean like state champions, but not actual professionals. And you have this thing in front of this in the stadium with 20,000 people where you play 1 point against each other, and it's single elim, and they go point by point, and they get eliminated. And it was super, super hype. If you're a professional player, you only get one serve because you do a rock, paper, scissors to see who goes, right?
Okay.
And if you were ranked, then you only get one serve. If you were an amateur, you're allowed to fault once if you're serving. But most people, especially the pros, when they would win the toss, they would choose to receive because there's too much pressure on the serve. And you would see like some of these people like Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner and all these really, really good players, they would actually be quite nervous because there's so much, and it's for $1 million. I probably should have mentioned that. Winner take all, $1 million. And it's like a 2.5 hour video that we watched on YouTube. You guys should check it out. It was extremely hype, and I'm going to spoil it. But the winner was actually an amateur, believe it or not, which is really, really cool. An awesome story.
That's amazing.
But it made us...
Do you know how many players there were?
They had like a big qualifying stage and all that. So I want to say that there were maybe 32 is what they started showing as televised. Something like that.
That doesn't take very long.
No, but they would like interview people in between.
Okay.
Like, so you get to know the people. So like there's storylines. Right. But the last two people that played against each other, the woman he played against was ranked like 170 something. So not known at all. But yeah, it was mega hype. And now I'm thinking about, because you know that every other sport is looking at this because this was a huge success. Right. They're looking at this to see if they can emulate it in some way. And we'll see if that ends up being the case. Because I was thinking for the NBA, they could definitely do something like, one shot type of deal. Like
you know where my mind went? This is like the TikTok of tennis.
Yeah, true.
It's like people can't pay attention to a whole game. So we're changing the game every point to keep people's attention. It's like, this is like shorts,
God damn it. Why'd you have to say that? Because I hate shorts.
I don't mean this in like a demeaning way. It sounds like a fun concept. I just couldn't help myself thinking it's possible that part of the reason they got this idea is that media is moving in this direction with, constant, what do you call it?
Yeah, it could be.
Just constantly new input, right? When you watch stuff. But I just thought that was kind of funny.
I will say it was a fun watch because I forgot to mention they also included some select like celebrities, which I didn't really know any of them, but mostly Australia based. But it was funny to see some of them beat pros because the pros like fault or something like that. Or they just get really lucky. So there's a lot of cool moments. So I'd recommend you guys check out the 1 point slam. They're definitely going to do it again.
Was the finals also 1 point?
Yeah.
Imagine serving for $1 million Australian dollars as an amateur. I don't know if the amateur served in the final.
In the final, the person that served was the tech. It was rank 170 person.
Okay. So it was the pro.
Yeah.
Imagine you just foul there and that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's how a lot of points went. It was.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just thinking in the finals, that's a bit insane, no? You just miss your serve and that's it.
And I guess they also had right before the finals, they had the top two amateurs play against each other for an electric car. So the guy that won the ultimate tournament, he didn't get the car. Actually, the other guy did. But it was one of those where you know that they didn't expect any of the amateurs to make it to the final, so they wanted some representation. They ended up getting double representation, which was really cool.
So that guy had 2 chances, basically, at winning something.
Yeah.
And
he got the better prize.
The big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sick. That's kind of cool. It makes me wonder if there's any way of doing something like that in Dota. I don't know how you would do that. With like...
I mean, 1v1 mid is the... See, 1v1 mid...
It's way too elaborate, though.
Well, one issue is it's 2 kills for some fucking dumb reason. Like, what's the point of that? I never understood that.
Even if it's 1 kill, organizing and running this with 32 people takes a long-ass time. The tennis thing is super fast. 1 point there takes like 1 minute, right, of play, probably. Like lining up, serving, maybe playing the point, and that's it. And in a 1v1 mid, that could take 15 minutes, even if you play to 1 kill. So I'm trying to think of what the Dota equivalent would be. It would probably be 1v1 mid, and you play the first wave, and who has most CS wins.
That's so boring, though.
Last hits and denies. Yeah, it's just like, what else would you do?
It would need to be like a mini game, like with Marana Arrow or some shit, like some moving target or I don't know.
Pudge Wars, and you're just playing until one of the players gets hooked, and that's it. Then you move on. Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that sounds cool. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that.
Fun idea.
All right, I have a SUNSfan recommends.
Oh, is this a movie by chance or a TV show?
It is a documentary, and I'm a little bit late to the party here.
Have you thought about recommending something else than movies and TV shows?
I've done games. I've done books. I've actually recommended more things than you by a long shot.
That's very true. I was just wondering if you had thought about it, and you clearly have. So that's
good. Basketball. I've recommend. Okay. So I recommend a Netflix documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. So I know I'm late. I know I'm late to this. This is the Puff Daddy P Diddy documentary. Surely you've heard about this, Cinderin. Really? Why am I even surprised?
Like I was saying, I said The Reckoning sounds familiar, and now I just looked it up. It's a movie from 2020 as well. Maybe I'm mixing it up.
Forget about the name The Reckoning. It's just the Netflix documentary on Puff Daddy.
I don't know if I've heard of it in that context. Whatever.
I don't know why I'm surprised. Anyway, people kept mentioning baby oil, and that made me want to watch it because it sounded ridiculous. And of course, I had this opinion on these billionaire types that end up going down certain roads, which we won't get into again. And this kind of reaffirmed everything, I believe. So apparently 50 Cent is one of the producers of this, and he hates P. Diddy, right?
Oh, I know that.
And it was so funny because it's like 5-6 episodes, and every single episode begins and ends with the same text on the screen saying that he was, P. Diddy was indicted on blah, 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 and he only served time. He served no actual time in prison, right? Because it was time served. So it's like very petty, and of course, documentaries in general are meant to have some sort of narrative. But I will say, because most of the footage was actually just of Puff Daddy, like with his own like video camera and shit. Like it's pretty damning. I would say. I learned a lot though, because I'm not into the rap hip hop scene at all, Cinderin.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to the US in like 95. So some of this I had missed. Of course, I knew of Tupac and Big B.I.G. I sound like a fucking boomer.
Notorious B.I.G. Yes.
Yeah. Like I had heard of them, and I knew that they died, but I didn't realize when. Like I assumed it was before I even got here to the States, but apparently it happened while I was here in like 96, 97. Yeah. But the story behind it, I didn't know any of the details, and one episode is basically dedicated to that, and it effectively insinuates heavily that P. Diddy was actually the reason Tupac died, which has been like a theory for a long time.
That's been a theory since...
I mean, I won't say that it's, I wouldn't say I'm fully convinced, but it seems reasonable to assume that he had something to do with it, because apparently his dad, I think, died before he was born, this Puff Daddy I'm talking about, and his dad was apparently an actual gangster, which I didn't, again, 90% of the stuff in this I didn't realize. But learning about a lot of this like early 90s or mid 90s stuff was fascinating to me, because it's like I was living under a fucking rock. But the story of like how he became what he became is essentially kind of was piggybacking off before is like it's reinforced my thoughts of it takes a certain type of person to become a billionaire. Mm-hmm. And then once you've achieved all you can achieve, surely things just get worse in terms of like what type of person you are. And I think that kind of
he didn't become a billionaire though, did he? Did he?
Are you sure?
I don't think so. I could be. I mean, what do I know?
Okay, well, regardless, he was in the circles of billionaires at the very least, and he was
definitely.
He was unbelievably rich. Like I would be shocked if he had less than 500 mil. So, but anyway, regardless, like all the stories that a lot of the people were discussing, the fact that he got off. They even interviewed a couple of the jurors. They made them look so fucking stupid because there's this video, of course, that everybody's seen of Puff Daddy beating the absolute shit out of his girlfriend, dragging her around the hotel. There's literal video evidence of it. Mm-hmm. And then they were interviewing one of the jurors because like, do you think he's a violent person? And she's like, and she's laughing and smiling the whole time she's saying this. She's like, he can be, or something like it's just like these people get away with everything. It's unbelievable. And I think the science behind like these trials is these big time lawyers that know how to filter out the correct jurors. You know what I mean? Like they do their research. The fact that they were not sequestered during the trial is also mind-boggling. Again, none of this stuff I even knew. The fact that they could go home, be affected by social media or whatever, fucking crazy. So yeah, he gets off basically for free, despite having strong evidence of a lot of sexual abuse, like date rape type stuff, like just the worst of the fucking worst. Basically everything you hear about these ultra rich people. But yeah, I'd recommend the show. I think it was very, very interesting. And of course, like I said earlier, there's a narrative to be built with all of these. And typically I try to be like this 50-50 kind of person when it comes to these. But this one, it convinced me. Of course, I wanted to be convinced at the same time because we've had this discussion on the ultra rich before.
Yeah, yeah. Just to clarify from my perspective, by the way, in case you didn't get this, I had not heard of the name of this show. It's from December. It's not like you made it sound like this was an old thing. You said, I'm late to this. The first episode is from December 2nd.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's a month old. It's not like a super old thing. But yeah, I hadn't heard of the show, but I've obviously heard of everything, or not everything, but a lot of what you mentioned revolving around the whole situation is. So I don't live under that rock. But I did live under the documentary rock. Okay.
Yes, you live under a lot of different rocks.
I don't know. Okay. Has this? I mean, obviously, this is easy for you to say. Has this been like very popular? This show?
Yes, I would say so. I think
I'm looking at like number of reviews and whatnot. I don't know.
It's just one of those things that if you talk to people that watch stuff, it's. Something that they're constantly talking about. And I mentioned the baby oil because it's always the most ridiculous thing that people bring up is, man, the amount of baby oil that he had. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And one of the stories is about how the girlfriend that he abused, he used to pay somebody, a gigolo, to come and have sex with his girlfriend while he watched, and they would go through like 10 bottles of baby oil in a 24-hour period or some ridiculous shit. It's like, you can't make this up. It's just so unbelievably dumb.
Right.
But this is the life of some people. What can you do? So yeah.
All right.
That's the reckoning.
Yep. SUNSfan recommends baby oil. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, might try it. You never know.
Yep. It's right. Okay, moving on to Dota, Shannon.
Oh wow!
Now we are
talking Dota.
Yep, yeah. We have arrived at what this podcast is primarily about. When we run out of topics such as baby oil, then we will talk about Dota. More qualifiers. We don't have big tournaments to talk about yet because I think I mentioned this last episode, but all of the big events, none of them are in January. There's just a ton of qualifiers being played, and we have another one reaching its almost full conclusion, which is Dreamleague. So Dreamleague 28 had qualifiers in every region, and they are all completed except China. I'll get to that. But yeah, we'll just go over this really quickly. There weren't many participants in some of them. The North American one, surprise, surprise, Gamer Legion qualifies. I guess perhaps you might have had like some, I'm not sure what you want to call it, if you want to call it some like dark horse in maybe a team like Cat Champ, because there's some, known players on that team like Gunner, K1, and Dubu.
Yeah, they went 0-4. What the hell? That's kind of surprising.
They did win their first series, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
they won their first series, and then they got 2-0'd by
they
by
lost.
Rottweilers
They lost
Latam,
their first,
so
won their second, lost their third.
Yeah, but the main story here is Gamer Legion didn't lose a series, and they lost one singular game. Aside from that, they cleaned house. So not too surprising. Gamer Legion, of course, being the ex-wildcard roster. So the best team in NA continues to be the best. South America, this is a bigger story, which we'll elaborate on a little bit later. But this qualifier was won by Peru Reject. So they actually beat Heroic in the finals. This was a bigger bracket. There were more teams, but in reality, these were the two teams that realistically had the real chance of winning. Heroic, of course, being Yuma, Whisper, Davai, Teolicor, and KJ. And Peru Rejects being the fully Peruvian team with Parker, Dark Mago, Frank, Schofield, and El Micho. So Schofield getting revenge on Heroic, who let him go recently. And Parker getting revenge on Heroic, who let him go longer ago. And you getting confused about who is the asshole on the reality TV show. And it's only going to get more confusing from here on out, because now Parker and Schofield are in the same team. Yeah, that's going to be good. Okay. So yeah, they took down South America. In Western Europe, there were 4 slots, which in order went to Maus. So Maus actually took first here against teams such as Liquid, Navi, and Falcon. So that's another good look for Maus. They obviously won the last Wallachia, and then they weren't as strong in the previous tournaments they played, but now this is a great result for them. They 2-1 Navi and 2-1 Falcons. Liquid ended up taking the second spot. They had to beat Negma Galaxy and Zero Tenacity, so I would say Liquid having a much easier bracket, to be honest. And then in the lower half, Navi beat out Lynx and Zero Tenacity to get that slot, and then Falcons, all they had to beat was Virtus Pro after being knocked down by Mouse, and they did that 2-1. So VP were only 1 game away. And VP, of course, you hear VP, you think Russia or you think Eastern Europe. This
now
is
you
a
think
mixed
Bulba
bag
and
now.
Fly.
Yeah, Virtus Pro now is Bulba coaching Fly, Hellscream, Saberlight, Abed, and Tomato. So there's 1 Eastern European player in this team who's from Belarus, which is Hellscream.
Honestly,
but very much an international
it's a
roster.
cool lineup, and they've been doing pretty decently. Hope
Yeah.
they can take the next step, because that would be awesome to see. Just such a hard region.
Yep. It's bold. If you're struggling to make events right now, making a team in Europe is definitely hard mode. And finally, Eastern European qualifiers. The noteworthy teams there primarily were BetBoom and One Win Team. I would say the 2 biggest ones, together with Aurora. And BetBoom ended up taking the finals there against Aurora 3-1. Now, there's also SEA. Excuse me, we got that one as well. So SEA, for this qualifier, there was no, I already forgot their name that we talked about last episode, the really big surprise, or it's 2 episodes ago by now.
Couldn't tell you.
No, it's one episode ago. What am I saying? Reconics, right. Reconics were not in this. I'm not sure if they didn't even make this qualifier or if they weren't invited for it. Maybe they lost in opens somewhere along the lines. I can't find it, because I don't believe they're just in. But yeah, they're not going to be playing this. Reconics were not part of this. But the biggest teams in this were Nemesis and Execration. And then perhaps you could argue Kukui's coming out of the open qualifier. So that's the Kuku team with Gabby, Armel, JG, and DJ. And supposedly also Trailer Park Boys. I mean, these team names are just something else. The Trailer Park Boys with Jackie Sanctity 11, Narman, and SE. That's also a really strong team with multiple. Is that 4 Mongolian players? That would have been kind of cool if they made it. Obviously, Mongolia has made a big name for themselves in Counter-Strike, which has been interesting to see how big that country suddenly got in CS2. But yeah, TLDR, Execration make it through after beating out Nemesis in the finals, and Nemesis knocked out, Kukuis, who were previously playing against Execration in the upper bracket.
So
the final qualifiers that's left is China, and that has not been played, and that's because China is playing on January 30th to February 2nd. They're playing one qualifier for both Dreamleague and Birmingham, and the first place team qualifies for both.
What the fuck?
And second place qualifies for neither.
That's so weird.
However, there's an asterisk on this. This is effectively like a mini LAN or whatever. I'm not sure if it's actually played on LAN. It looks like it is. It's played in the Shanghai Planet Studio. So this is like a mini LAN with a lot of the good Chinese teams, but with the asterisk that if Extreme Gaming win, the second place team qualifies for both tournaments because Extreme are already invited to both. So
why are they even playing then?
That was my question. But I mean, obviously, it has a decent prize pool and it's a LAN, right? So you could just think of it like they're playing a LAN and there's this extra thing to it. But it is a little bit weird, isn't it? To have a qualifier where one team is qualified already, essentially. But yeah, they're playing for the prize money and for the experience, I guess.
What is this YB tier laments with a Yakult logo that looks weird? What is this?
Yeah, Tier Laments have played a couple of tournaments. They've got some pretty good players, honestly.
Well, why is their logo Yakult? Kind of.
It's the Yakult second team, I believe. And then it just looks different to separate it from the other Yakult team.
Can you tell me what this logo is supposed to be? It's a dragon?
Yeah, it's the Yakult Bros logo with a dragon in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't have to make sense, does it? A lot of team logos don't, so...
Yeah, those are usually funny, at least.
Well, China disappoints you yet again.
I hope Trailer Park Boys get a logo soon. Looking forward to that.
Okay, so yeah, those were the results of those qualifiers. And on that note, there's more stuff coming up in terms of qualifiers. So we will obviously be telling you guys about how that goes in future episodes. But we've got ESL 1 Birmingham qualifiers started today. And obviously... all the regions are playing except China, because as we just mentioned, they're playing in 2 weeks for their LAN. Then PGL Wallachia Season 7 will have qualifiers January 26th to 29th, so that's in a week and a half. And then we enter LAN season. So sure, there were no LANs in January, but February and March is going to have so much stuff. There's 4 LANs in those 2 months alone. Blast Slam 6, Dreamleague 28, Wallachia Season 7, and ESL Birmingham. So there's going to be an arena event there. 2 arena events, maybe. I'm not sure if Blast Slam 6 is in the arena. I could quickly check that for you, actually.
Did OG change their logo back recently or something?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we could mention that too. I totally forgot about that being news, actually.
Was that posted somewhere? I didn't see that.
They posted on social media, yeah.
What did they say? We lost our sponsorship with Red Bull?
They spun it positively somehow. I'm not quite sure what I don't know the details of it. I just know that they're back to their old logo. And supposedly that probably means that Red Bull aren't involved anymore, at least not having as much of a say in it. What were we saying? Yeah, so the LAN part is in... Wait, this is a bit confusing. I think there is an arena tournament for Blast 6. Because the online part is played in Europe, and then the LAN part is played in Malta. But I don't know if there's a crowd. I guess that's what I'm getting at here. Why is that not listed? Okay, I'm doing this live, Shannon. You know me.
Yep.
I didn't even think about this.
Doing it live. What's that guy's name?
Yep.
What's that piece of shit's name?
It just says it's in the Blast Studio in Malta. So I'm guessing there's no audience. I mean, you can have a studio tournament with like a small audience, right? But I genuinely don't know if there's an audience for this.
O'Reilly. That's right. That clip is so good.
If it has an audience in Malta, it'll be a small one. So out of these 4 tournaments, the one that's like quote unquote the true LAN experience with a crowd will be ESL1 Birmingham. And that is the last of the 4 tournaments being played. That's at the end of February, or excuse me, end of March. So about 2 months out from now. But yeah, there's a shitload of Pro Dota coming in the coming 2 months. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, since we just talked about qualifiers, this is where I wanted to elaborate a little bit about on Heroic losing to Peru Rejects, because shortly after this, they've benched Davai again on Heroic. So he was back to the roster for a couple months, and then he's out again. Without knowing the inner workings of this team, you and I think we were both pretty hopeful when they moved Whisper to mid. We were like at least curious to see how it would work out, if it would be sustainable and how well these players would play, and the whole dynamic with Whisper mid and Davai off lane. And they had some good showings and some less good showings, but overall they've just come to the conclusion that that's not what they're going to do.
Whisper definitely had his moments. I liked him mid.
Yeah, but both for good or bad, I would say. I personally found him to be way less consistent on mid compared to offlane, because I think you and I both agree he's one of the best offlaners in the world. I did not think he was one of the best mid laners in the world.
Okay, fair enough.
I thought he played well in some games, and in some games he popped off, but he also had games where you were just like, you wouldn't be able to say this if you didn't know he wasn't a mid player, but when you know that mid is not his primary role that he's been playing for the last couple of years, maybe you could tell a little bit that he was slightly out of his element. It's hard to just replicate all that experience you have in another role. And for some players, it works well to switch. For others, it doesn't. For me, I think Whisper did fine, but nothing extraordinary on mid. That's my personal opinion. Now the question is, with Davai out, what are they going to do? The rumors that I've seen, the primary one anyway, is that Whisper will be going back to offlane, and that Heroic will be picking up Taelung, who is an exceptional talent, it looks like. He is a very young Peruvian mid player who I think he reached top 3 NA leaderboards when he was 14. And now he is, I think, 16 years old, and he's 28th on EU leaderboard. So he's over 16,000 MMR. And that's while playing from Peru. So he's also playing on ping. He was playing for OG Latam beforehand. That's probably the most noteworthy team. But we'll see. It's just a rumor for now. I would like to see that guy play for a really good team, because I'm very curious if he's like the next big thing. He could be. And I also think it's just better to put Whisper back to offlane. So either for that team, in my eyes, unless Whisper really drastically improved on mid and they found a way of incorporating and structuring the team with Davai offlane, I think it's better for the team to keep one of the two. And then whether that was going to be Davai or Whisper, I mean, it's not too surprising that they keep Whisper, I suppose, knowing the team's history and everything.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. You haven't heard about this Taelung guy at all, right?
Nope.
It's the first time you hear his name, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
He's very unknown for now, but I kind of hope that he's the replacement and that they put Whisper offlane. I think that could make for a really cool team with a newer player that has new ideas and then more experienced players. It's a recipe that's worked for a lot of teams in the past. All right. Finally, one more team update. SUNSfan TV.
Yes, sir.
I forgot which episode we talked about this. It's probably 2 or 3 episodes ago. Puppey was coaching Parivision. And supposedly, I have not verified this, but I've just read it, that on 9 Classes stream, he confirmed that Puppey is staying as coach for Parivision. So this begs a couple of questions. First of all, I guess I'm curious what you think. Do you think this is going to make Parivision better this year?
I have no idea.
Not about his responsibility, but if you had to bet right now, do you think Parivision will have a better 2026 than 2025?
No, because they already had such a great year. It's going to be hard to top.
Right.
I could see them still being good, though.
Yeah. Yeah. They've they've not been as good in the last couple of
I mean, that's
months
the thing.
as they were earlier in 2020.
Me saying that has nothing to do with Puppey at all.
Right.
Doesn't matter what the coach is. I don't think they can replicate what they had the last 18 months. But I would like to be wrong because they're very entertaining to watch. But my question about Puppey is like, what is team secret? What's happening there now? Is that just done?
That's the other thing. So Puppey has said that it's not feasible for Secret to pay the cost of a Dota 2 team. Dota 2 teams are expensive, and you like the return on investment you need to place really high consistently before it's probably worth having a team of the caliber that Secret would want. So it's hard to say whether this is out of like necessity that he's coaching. I think Puppey just can't put Dota down. Like he just can't put it away. So he wants to be involved in one way or the other. And I think coaching, he's probably going to do a really good job if he has the right fit for teammates for it. But if he had the possibility of having an all-star team, would he rather coach? My guess would be he would still play.
Yeah.
But it's also possible that he's just over that now and he just wants to take more of a back seat and be more of a mediator and strategist than a player, which would be, completely respectful. The guy has pretty much achieved everything you can in Dota, right? He's had like the best team in the world a couple of times. He's won TI. He's won Major. He's won a tournament on like every continent. He's had a year where he won like 7 lands in a row or some shit with the pre-COVID team that was ridiculously good. But yeah, I agree. I don't think Secret will be, or excuse me, Parivision will be as good as last year. But the thing I'm really curious about when you have someone like Puppey coach is, I personally feel like Puppey as a drafter was the best 5 years ago or more. I think in modern Dota, the edge, we've talked about this on the podcast before, the edge that Puppey and Kuro used to have as drafters, Dota has changed so much that the way they used to win drafts, that's not really how you do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So it begs the question, like how well he, overall over the last couple of years, how well he has adapted to modern drafting, if you will, and how much he's going to have to offer here for these players in relative to before. Because you could be like, okay, Puppey used to win tournaments on drafting. Do we think he's going to be able to have a relatively similar impact for Parivision? I think he can't, because I think the extent to which Puppey was out drafting teams years back is not really possible anymore. And now the draft edges are much smaller. So in other words, is he going to elevate the team to higher levels than Estini was able to? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how much better of a job he can do with the tools.
I think personality-wise, he's perfect though, because if they were having issues, like if they were having issues butting heads with Estini, like that's not going to happen with Puppey. I think everybody will respect him enough that he can, and that's why everybody thought he could fix Parker, right? That's his name, Parker.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, be careful, Shannon. Get it right now.
It didn't happen for whatever reason, but yeah, they respect him enough that I think he can. It just comes down to how outdated strategy is, I suppose, and how much he can adapt to the more modern Dota. Yeah, he's a legend.
It's like an interesting angle with the whole personality thing, right? Because you could argue the players are going to respect him a lot, but then at the same time, if you talked about butting heads with Estini, if players strictly or strongly disagree with Puppey, how do they resolve that then? Right? If that's, I'm not here saying because what I've heard from some of Puppey's ex teammates like Kezu or Matumba Man, it is not the whole like image that he has with the whole meme of the guy with the machete who's like telling everybody we're doing it my way or no way. So it's also possible that like the popular perception of how Puppey interacts with a team as a captain is really different from the truth. And perhaps he's more of a mediator as coach, actually. And he's not like, I personally don't think Puppey is just going to draft for the team and they're just going to do whatever he says. I think this is very much going to be a team effort to draft. I don't think they're just saying, Puppey, take care of it. We know you're a genius.
Oh, no, yeah, there's no way.
So I think there's going to be a lot of discussion and the thing about having a very experienced coach, he's not an experienced coach, he's an extremely experienced pro player, is that I think what the teams will understand very much is Puppey's experience with stakes and his experience with what it takes to prepare for big games. And his knowledge about specific historical strategies. So let's say sometimes Dota is very cyclical and something becomes meta that has been out for 3 years. And when that comes in, the really experienced drafters just know the counters already. They just remember what used to work.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of edge there when metas develop a lot, having a coach that has been through every stage of the game, right? So
yeah, and we'll see if Ducalis will cut down on the earwax eating around Puppey as well. I'm not sure if that's
very important. Puppey, of course, we need to make sure to mention that every time. Your favorite thing to talk about with Parivision.
Dude,
gotta get it out there.
It's just unbelievable that nobody made a clip of that. I just can't believe it. Like, what kind of world do we live in that could happen and nobody clips it? It's just fucking travesty. I think about it all the time, honestly. It's the first thing I think of when I see them. Genuinely.
Maybe if you stop thinking about that, it will cure your throat. That might be the problem, actually.
It does. The timelines actually do line up pretty well.
It's a pretty serious virus, being unable to not think about another person eating earwax. It's a pretty serious thing.
I've never seen it before. So, my God, it's so good.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
your favorite thing.
Believe it or not, that's the end of the episode, Syndrin.
Yep.
I will say we have an idea for a tier list, but we need assistance on suggestions. I want to do a tier list of all the big features that have been introduced into Dota, and we just
Since
rank
Dota
them.
2?
Dota 2, and we rank them according to things like talents, neutral items, as many as we can cram.
Prepare your Fs.
Yeah, I think you might be surprised by some of my answers as well, but
Okay.
But yeah, there's been a lot of big changes over the years, and we can kind of look back to see, was this a successful change after all? Because there's certain, like, I'll have certain impressions right away. You'll have certain impressions right away. Of course, you're more stubborn than me, as everybody knows.
Okay.
So you won't change your mind on anything. But I'm more adaptable mind myself.
Yeah, sure.
But we can look back and see, maybe that wasn't a good change that I thought was at the time, right? Yeah, get those suggestions in the YouTube comments, and good stuff.
And as far as these tier lists go, we're going to be doing them from time to time. It's not an every episode thing. We just had 2 close together, and of course, now that we're back to a weekly schedule, sometimes the episodes are just going to be shorter, like this one. Some weeks there's going to be a lot to talk about, and sometimes there's less. But we're still trying to run these weekly ones, even when there's less news and less interesting ones. But yeah, that just means sometimes the episodes are going to be, what's this, 45 minutes? 45 minutes long?
Yeah. I was thinking, I don't know how we do this, because I wouldn't want to do every hero, but the best designed heroes in Dota.
Oh,
that would be kind of interesting. Problem is we would never agree because the criteria is going to be so widely different, I think,
I mean, we could technically do it with every hero and then just chop it up into sections and do 20 every episode and then have it running.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Do it for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And see what that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Best design. I like that a lot. I want to do that.
We need to come up with an actual set criteria on what counts as like a good design, because it doesn't have to be fun. That's the thing. Because otherwise you just pick the most popular heroes,
Okay. I will do it on one condition, Shannon, okay? I'll do it on one condition. That you agree with me that Broodmother is F. If we start there, that is an awful design, then I'll entertain this idea. What do you say?
I would say maybe D.
That it's low enough that I'll allow it.
I would say it's a lower end, but there's some aspects of it that I do like, which like webs. I think conceptually that's a cool design.
Okay. This is good.
But everything together for her, no, I think she's dog shit for sure. D for dog shit, that is.
Yeah, and Brute is one of those heroes that's had like 10 variations in Dota, and I've not liked a single one of them.
I mean,
I've hated every version of Brute.
That's how we
ever.
can.
It's just fucking F, man.
If you can take different, like X many different versions that they've had of the hero and say all of them were bad, that could add to your argument.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Either way, that does it for today. Thanks for watching. Until next time, SUNSfan Center signing out. Peace.
Bye.
We say things that don't mean
Subscribe.
anything, but thanks for listening.